I've been kind of impressed lately about how much context really does matter. Now, for example, we have people who will probably use context for their own means. They have this rules for thee but not for me sort of thinking, where they'll use context to sort of justify whatever they want to do. But if someone else does something that they don't like, then they won't accept any context for why someone may have a good reason for doing that. So it's important to just be watchful for those people. But on the other hand, context can be very valuable for stories, especially in understanding how things can be taken out of context. Like, for example, quoting the villain as a statement of fact on the author. But in a way, you can also have things where it's like in the Bible, where you can probably find a verse that will say whatever you want it to say. You just have to find it and then isolate it. But when that verse is put in context, it can have an entirely different meaning. For example, there's a verse in Amos talking about the cleanliness of teeth. And the thing is that sounds like a almost promise, where clean teeth. But yet it's actually about not having enough food. There isn't food on your teeth. So in essence, what seems like there might be a promise is actually a punishment. And then you have basically more cultural context. And this is something I've heard recently, so I'm not sure if it's true, but it has to do with how people that turning your other cheek. And so how people would slap people or backhand people to humiliate them had to do with one certain hand. But by turning the other cheek, not only do you not really give them a response of being humiliated, you basically then say, treat me as an equal, just by the context of basically changing which cheek they would slap. So it paints a whole different picture than that kind of pacifist, let people walk all over you sort of verse that people can use to try to justify either not acting or even what they've done to other people. So it's important to think about context in those situations. But let me know what your thoughts about context are.